No refunds once you've stepped out of the store? Fine, I won't step out of the store, by user de Belendar. This happens in a large store in a European country. When you purchase something from them, and for any reason want to return the item, their policy is that they never give money back. They only give you a voucher redeemable same day only. I went to the store today and purchased quite a long list of items. I got home, my wife looks at them and says that we don't need some of them. I go back to the store, barely 20 minutes pass. The returns manager smiles at me as I tell her I'd just purchased these and would like to return them. She tells me that I stepped out of the store so she can't refund. Only give me a voucher and I must buy something else. I'd already bought everything I needed. Then she tells me to take the products home and keep them for the next time I would need to buy something, then I can come and get the voucher and redeem it. Imagine keeping a pair of shoes in a bowl and remember to bring them with you the next time you happen to need something. I tried to reason, but she was adamant, those are the rules. You stepped out of the store, you don't get a refund. And then it clicked. I asked, so if someone wants to return an item without leaving the store, they get the money back? Yes. You see where this is heading. Malicious compliance kicking in. I ask to return the items and get the voucher. I take the voucher, get inside the store, find a product to exactly same amount. Buy it with the voucher. Right after the cashier, there's the returns manager. Straight from the cashier I go to her. Hand her that random product I'd just bought and say I would like to return this, I don't want it. And I never left the store. She is looking at me with barely contained rage in her eyes, I kid you not. The awkward pause was getting longer. And then her manager comes along. Looks at us and I smile at him and say I never left the store and I would like to get a refund for this please. He nods. Silent and not looking at me, she proceeds to refund me the money in cash. Company policy, right? Forced prayer? You asked for it, by user Totnax. Some info for context. I have less than zero religiosity. I'm not saying God, doesn't exist. I just haven't seen credible, replicable and verifiable evidence that proves his/her/its existence. On to the story. My wife and I attended her sister's housewarming party earlier today. Her sister's mother-in-law, whom we are just meeting for the first time, is apparently a devout, outspoken and annoyingly preachy Christian. The father-in-law is chill. The mother-in-law, let's call her Karen, asks for all of the guests' attention and for some incomprehensible reason, orders me, as in no polite request, no please, etc., to pray for the food in which we are about to partake in. I guess me holding the fine cutlery while chopping up some Costco rotisserie chicken equals leader of men in prayer, WTF. Wife's sister interjects, some of our guests don't share the same faith that we have. If it's all right with you, can we just have a moment of silence so we can all offer thanks in our own personal ways? Before she can finish, Karen cuts her off and says it is only right to offer thanks and praise for our Lord and Savior, blah blah blah. Karen promptly points to me with her index finger and sternly commands. You/Totnax, lead the prayer. I say to myself silently, MC jackpot. Then out loud, praise be to Allah, for He has given us all of this delicious food to consume and enjoy. Except for the dishes with pork in it and all of the alcoholic beverages, for Allah doesn't allow their consumption. At this point in my prayer, Karen turns around, grabs her husband by the arm and leaves the shindig, mumbling something about all of us being heretics and such. Needless to say, everyone was giggling at her theatrics. Obviously the drinks and food tasted way better after they left. You want to send me home? Sounds good, by user Sir Razzle. So I was a sarcastic and easily annoyed guy in my 20s, and this often didn't help me get along with older or corporate types. I was working at a certain pumpkin-colored big box home improvement store one spring, in the flooring department. It was just starting to get warm out and the store didn't have much AC, so I was looking forward to a magical date where certain employees were allowed to switch their pants for shorts. Problem is that we had a new department manager, I'll call him Dick, who was aggressively chasing a promotion to assistant manager, then store manager. He thought he could accomplish that by being a super by-the-book hardass and being relentlessly metrics-focused. This translated into a manager who was a know-it-all, micromanaging Dick. Anyway, I'm scheduled to open at 5 a.m. one day on the fabled day of cooler bottom wear and I walk in all light and airy and bare-legged. Dick, who was overnight manager the previous night, saw me and threw a fit. "Why are you out of uniform?" he asked. "I'm not. I can wear shorts starting today," I proclaimed. Not your position in your department. Who told you that you could? He retorted. The employee handbook and SOP? I can show you if you don't believe me. I offered. I know the SOP and your department doesn't get to wear shorts. That's only garden. Go home and change right now. He demanded, face getting redder from my defiance. Okay Dick, if that's how you want to play it. I'll be back in an hour. I sighed. Maybe the loss of an hour of pay will teach you something. So I know better. The reason I know better is because I'm one of the weirdos who actually read the entire standard operating procedure document, the employee handbook, which is actually just a subsection of the SOP, and I really hate being wrong, so I checked the SOP before doing anything different day to day. In my store, the SOP was like invoking God. If the SOP said so, that won every single argument. So I go home, change into pants, but bring my shorts back to work with me. By now, Dick's shift is over and I ask the new morning manager on duty, Darren, to meet with me. Why, what's up? Oh, just an SOP issue. Oh, okay. Give me like, 10 minutes. So I swung BYNMY desk and printed out several things. 1. My latest pay stub that included my official job title and department number. 2. The company directory that listed the department names and their associated numbers. 3. The SOP that dealt with when and which departments/employees can wear shorts. 4. The annual email from the regional VP confirming which departments could wear shorts starting when, which also included the line "and this letter is to be posted at the time clock between the dates of XXX. 5. The SOP detailing the company transportation and mileage reimbursement policy. 6. A Google Maps route that mirrored the route I take to and from work, with the total mileage highlighted. So, I meet with Darren and explained what happened and handed him each page in turn as they became relevant. At the end, we agreed that I was right on every single account and asked me what I wanted. All of that sounds more than fair. Get the paperwork for the clock adjustment and mileage to me today and I'll sign it. The letter mysteriously went missing from the time clock the next day, but I replaced it every day until I happened to see Dick angrily snatch it off the board and throw it away. I reported that as well and the letter stopped going missing. He didn't talk to me much and I was transferred to another department a month later, so all in all win-win I think. Edit, now that I'm home and at an actual computer, minor edits for spelling and grammar. Yet another new manager facing the consequences of their actions story, by user absurd and nihilistic. I'll keep the details as vague as possible because I'm still with this organization. I work for a government department. We have offices and locations all over the state. I'm based out of a city that's about a 2-and-a-bit-hour train ride to our head office. At the time I was working in a team that had members working remotely all across the state, looking after policy, process, and quality assurance. Our old manager had gone and gotten himself promoted for being genuinely brilliant at his role. So our new manager, Steve, was hired in from the glorious world of banking, and he was here to whip us lazy public servants into shape. A few days after he began his role, he called us all to a teleconference to inform us he wanted all of us to be at the head office 8 a.m. tomorrow morning for an all-day in-person team meeting. He wanted to see us in meet space, to size us up, understand what we were doing, and see where we weren't keeping up with the private sector. As I mentioned, due to the nature of the work we were doing, we were all across the state. So in person, whole team meetings were rare and if they occurred at all, they were booked weeks in advance. We were all adept at video conferencing long before COVID. Some of us tried to tell our new high-flyer manager that almost none of us were in the same city as him, and to be there on such short notice would mean travel expenses, meal allowances, overtime etc. He didn't seem to care, and told us in no uncertain terms to just be at head office tomorrow at 8 a.m. before abruptly hanging up. Now, I should explain something. I'm one of a handful of union delegates in our department. I know our award back to front, specifically the sections dealing with travel, allowances, and overtime. So I engaged malicious compliance mode. If Steve wanted us there fine, but it'll cost him. So I quickly went about emailing my team what Steve had done by requiring us to be in the head office at 8 a.m. and what to do. Because we'd have to travel outside our normal work hours, our workday clock started ticking the moment we left our homes and only stopped once we got home. Some of our team traveled overnight, they were entitled to overtime to travel, a dinner allowance, an accommodation for the night, and the same returning. As someone traveling in the morning before 7 a.m., I was entitled to a breakfast allowance, lunch allowance, and if I got home after 9 p.m., a dinner allowance also. So, I left my house at 5 a.m. to catch the only train that would get me there in time. The train was running slightly behind, but I made it in time. So my first 3 hours of my work day down and I'd done no work. After a brief period of us introducing ourselves to Steve, he proceeded to spend the next 4 hours telling us about all of the things he did at the bank, how he made so much money for them, where they'd sent him as a holiday bonus, how we're all stuck in the past in the public service, the work he'd seen wasn't up to private sector standards, etc. He had all the cocksureness of a finance bro who had always failed upwards because others had picked up his slack. By 3 p.m. my entire team were into overtime pay territory, and Steve was just warming up with his non-charm offensive. Another 3 hours go by with Steve verbally patting himself on his back, deeply in love hearing his own voice, but all I hear is cha-ching cha-ching. Steve decided that 5 p.m. was a good time to finish up. He stopped mid-sentence, looked at his watch, and unceremoniously said that's all for today. Go home now and walked out. After I and a few other gave a few awkward shrugs to each other, we all packed up and started to make our separate ways home after doing no work all day. I, myself got to the train station pretty quickly, and saw a train was leaving soon that would get me home around 8 p.m., or I could catch the all stations train and get home closer to 9:30 p.m. You know what? No matter how fast I could run, I just couldn't catch that earlier train. Damn, I'd just have to catch that all stations train and be on the clock for another hour and a half, plus have my dinner paid for. Such rotten luck. Winky face. I submitted my claims the next day, 4.5 hours at double rate, my train tickets, my taxi fares to and from the train station, my breakfast, lunch, and dinner allowances. For me alone it was close to a $500 expense claim. The rest of my team followed suit, and ensured they claimed everything too. Steve tried to fight us on approval for the claims, but quickly learned that unlike in the world of banking, most public servants are union, and we'd raise living hell if he denied our award-guaranteed allowances. His all-day Steve Fest symposium blew a good $6,000 hole in his budget. Needless to say, while Steve was our manager, he never required us to attend an in-person meeting again. Video conferencing was just fine. He only lasted 6 months before leaving for new opportunities. He just went back to his old job at the bank. Guess he was the one who couldn't keep up. Stepdad tried to punish me without hearing me out. I did what he asked, by user seeing _is_my_hobby. Edit, to clarify, I am a woman. Also, my sister and I are both adults now and safely moved out. As long as I could remember, my sister, who was 2 years younger than me, would come up and hit me for no reason and often started fights with me. My parents started telling me that I would just have to hit her back because I'm stronger, so she would stop once she realized I would hurt her worse. Fast forward to me being 16, my sister was 14. We're sitting on the love seat in the living room with my stepdad across from us, asleep on the couch at 3 p.m. She hits me because I won't get up and get her a drink. I hit her back. She screams because I don't usually hit her back. My stepdad wakes up and starts yelling at her for being loud and demands to know what happened. She said I hit her. He then turns his anger to me. He yells at me, if you want to fuck around, you can write 5 pages front and back. I will not bite people. If it's not done before dinner, I'm gonna take your phone and books. I made it clear that I hit her, not bit her, but he got even more angry and screamed, if you think you're so smart, then write 10 pages front and back. He went back to sleep on the couch. I wrote 5 pages front and back. I will not bite people unerotically. I will not bite people unconsensually. I will not bite people without asking first. I will not bite people because they are not food. Along with some other ridiculous things I don't remember. I finished 5 pages before dinner, miraculously, and he read over them. He went red in the face. I thought I told you 10 pages, he raged. You said 10 pages if I think I'm so smart. Which I don't, I innocently replied. This is not what I told you to write. Yes it is. You said to write I will not bite people, and that's exactly what I did. My mom got home at that point and overheard. Coming to investigate, she flipped through the pages and laughed. It made him angrier as he answered her questions on the assignment and she took my side, still chuckling as we started making dinner.